There is this mythical headline floating around out there today about the Federal Communication Commission, the FCC's net neutrality rule, and this big fight between the FCC and Comcast, which, as you know, is the nation's biggest cable provider. It involves access to the internet. And now, like we do every day on this show, I want to break down why all ultimately comes down to this. Mark, let's show our viewers. This is my trusty pipe. I love these props that I have. Let's say this is the pipe that carries your internet, right? Nice big pipe. Your internet flows through here. Right now, everybody has equal access to the internet. Comcast won a court battle yesterday against the FCC to segment that internet connection. Don't leave just yet. I'm going to get into this a little more, but I'm going to get into it with somebody who knows a lot more about it than I do. Shelly Palmer, a good friend of mine, the host of Digital Life with Shelly Palmer, joins me now from New York. I have to say, first, Shelly, good to see you, but net neutrality needs a better PR agent, because nobody knows what it is and why it matters, but this could be a big deal. The FCC says that everything going through the internet needs to be treated the same way and paid for the same way. Comcast disagrees. Give me more of an explanation on this.
Sort this out a little bit. The ruling that the U.S. Appeals Court came to yesterday really wasn't about net neutrality at all. It was about the FCC and what it can and cannot do. Now, the FCC's mandate is to govern the internet, and what they found out yesterday in court was that they don't have the authority to enforce any of the things it's supposed to mandate. So that's like a little technicality and has absolutely nothing really to do with net neutrality at all. This is I'm not a lawyer, but this is a legal issue, and it's not necessarily in the spirit of the legislation. The FCC's job is to regulate the internet, and the court case was about, do they have the authority to tell Comcast what to do on the internet? And as it turns out, no, not in this case. They don't.
So Comcast's argument was that they needed the right to be able to decide, particularly how they charge for usage of the internet. And Comcast's argument, both of us not being lawyers, had something to do with illegal downloading and file sharing.
Forget all that. That's all a smokescreen. We could talk about it all day long. That's a smokescreen. The court ruling yesterday was about a legal technicality, which, by the way, the legislature is going to have to deal with. Now, let's talk about the spirit of net neutrality and what that is.
Okay,
because
what
you
is it?
Started by saying, hey, there's a big pipe, and that's a nice way to describe the internet. Think about it a little differently. There are roads that go all across America. We have an interstate highway system, and some of those roads have tolls on them, and the entire net neutrality issue is who's allowed to charge you a toll, and for what and when. People who say net neutrality should be enforced are saying there should be no tolls on the internet, that all traffic should just go toll-free everywhere. And people who are against net neutrality, if that's a thing we can say, their job is they're basically saying, hey, you know what? I own this road, and I can charge a toll if I want to.
And so that would be Comcast. The toll booth collector in this case would be Comcast. They're saying, we own the road.
Absolutely.
If we need, but who do they want to charge more to or less to? Is this like an 18-wheeler going through pays a higher toll than a motorcycle?
Look, there is actually something here to this argument, and it's a little bit non-subtle. Let's play pretend for a second. I want to be as nasty as I can. The worst case scenario, just for the sake of an argument. Let's say that you're Comcast and you've got Xfinity, which is their version of Hulu, where people can come and watch video online for free. Right. But it's not really free because they're paying Comcast for the relationship with Comcast. Now Netflix wants to send their signal over a Comcast pipe. And Comcast decides, because they can, to charge Netflix more money, which would give Comcast an unfair competitive advantage or would disadvantage Netflix. Now, if you take that out across the whole internet, I could then charge people coming over my pipes more, charge less for my content, and put myself in a situation where I can really put you out of business because I own the road and you can't travel on it, or you can't afford to pay the toll. That's what everybody's scared of. It's not going to go there. It's certainly not going to happen today. But in its worst case scenario, that's what the fear is.
What ultimately is this going to cost me money? The fact that the FCC lost the decision yesterday?
I don't think this is going to cost any consumer money right this minute, but I think it's important to understand that the FCC has a job to do. And look, net neutrality is really good for consumers in one respect, and it's also very good for business in another respect. It's a complex issue that's not clear-cut. There are 6 principles that Julius Genachowski, who's the commissioner of the FCC, has laid out. They are smart. They need to be discussed, and everybody's going to have their own point of view. At the end of the day, to answer your question, unfortunately, yes, prices are going to go up for everybody. However, if there is as much competition for your bandwidth dollar as we believe there will be coming up, then you know what? The free market, as defined, will probably prevail, and we will probably see good competitive pricing for bandwidth.
Shelley, that is the clearest explanation I've had of this yet, and I've done a lot of reading on it. Always great to see you. Thanks very much. Shelley Palmer, the author of Digital Life, and a whole bunch of great books and DVDs on how to understand the internet. Shelley, good to see you. Come back and visit us often, okay?
Thanks so much, Ali.